Hello and welcome to MMA Live TV. Before we begin, guys, please subscribe to the channel and give us some support and love. Your feedback and comments are also well appreciated. Wow, we've had a whirlwind of the last 48 hours. It looks like UFC 249 is on the brinks, and it looks like for a record unprecedented fifth time, the Khabib and Tony show is going to be cancelled. Dana, you promised. You promised. I'm pretty sure there was I had it in a previous show where I said that if there's anything we can count on, it's a Dana White assurance. Wowza. It's unprecedented to see a fight like this get cancelled time and time again. I don't think I've quite seen it, and I don't think we've definitely quite heard of it in combat sports world. Look, listen, let's have a look at this video. So this video was put in Khabib's Instagram feed a couple of days ago. And basically in here, he tells what the current situation is. Look, without further ado, let's have a quick look at it right now.
Всех интересует один и тот же вопрос, где я нахожусь. Давайте вернемся к тому, что самое
Tell you what,
начало,
wherever he's in, it's not the most beautiful place in the world. As in the room, sorry.
Какие были новости? С самого начала, где-то дней 10, мы, находясь в Калифорнии, в
American Kickboxing Academy in California with Daniel Cormier and the crew. I even heard that when he was training during this COVID situation,
what's up, brother? How are you?
look at him, say hi to DC.
I'm here.
I even heard that when he was training this COVID situation,
находясь
they
в
basically
Икее,
cleared out the
в
gym
Сан-Хосе,
just
мы
for him
тренировались
to allow him
где-то
to
около
train.
10 дней, не зная, будем мы драться и где мы будем драться, в каком формате пройдет бой, с зрителями, без зрителей. Вообще очень много вопросов было, на которых у нас не было.
So he's obviously confused in terms of what's happening. Then the UFC told us the fight.
Бой 100% не пройдет в Америке. Они сказали, что бой пройдет, следующий бой
Abu
пройдет.
Dhabi. Interesting. I mean, Poirier and Khabib fought there, so Dana White is very
мы,
familiar with that place.
посоветовавшись с UFC, решили за месяц до боя, это было где-то 19 или 20, надо проверить, посмотреть, сейчас точно не помню дату. И когда мы туда прилетели, нам сказали, что границы закрыты.
Well, obviously closing borders in the Emirates.
Ни один человек, гражданин другой национальности, там, у кого
Khabib, not a
не
citizen?
имеется паспорт Эмиратов, тот не может залетать.
Of the Emirates, that is?
В Эмираты, в Дубай и в Абу-Даби. И нам пришлось оттуда уже улететь в Россию. Мы прилетели в Россию. В данный момент я нахожусь
So he
в
goes back to
Дагестане,
the
и
motherland
каждый
and
день
he's
я
currently in
тренируюсь и
Dagestan training and
готовлюсь.
preparing.
Только не знаю, к чему мне готовиться.
Wowza. This is a massive kerfuffle. You know what this is? This is when you invite a couple of your boys and you're gonna hit the town and you're gonna check out a couple of bars and you text the wrong location. Not quite, but you kind of get the vibe of where I'm going. This is a massive kerfuffle. This is a massive screw up. Obviously, there are a lot of things happening here. There's communication breakdowns, but I mean, overarchingly, there's the sentiment whether if the UFC should even be holding and hosting an event in a global pandemic. The selfish part of me that wants to watch a fight is quite intrigued to see Dana go about his business and make this thing happen. But wow, to reiterate it looks like Khabib was communicated that this fight was going to go through and was going to go through somewhere overseas. Obviously, he felt that it was going to be somewhere around the United Emirates. So he went to conclude his training camp around there just to make it logistically easy and probably to acclimate. But with the COVID things that are happening at the moment, quarantine laws and restrictions, I can definitely understand and see how this could have happened. It's such a dynamic situation at the moment, and a lot of people, what is true for one day is definitely not true for the other day, and it obviously doesn't feel like the communication is really that tight between the UFC and Khabib. 5 times. That's all I've got to remind you. 5 times this has been cancelled. It's been cancelled due to Khabib missing weight. It's been cancelled due to Tony having a freak accident. Now it's been cancelled due to a global pandemic / communication era in it. Will we ever see this fight? I'm not too sure. And by the time we see this fight, have we built such a hype for it that no matter what the result is, unless it's an absolute, 5-round war, will we not be happy? I just don't know. It's really disappointing because both these individuals were at the apex, really at the apex. Khabib undefeated, mowed through Conor, Dustin, just some amazing fighters to kind of get there. Tony being Tony Ferguson, really, with that, winning streak that he's currently on. And the fact that I think he was just really getting into his own as an entertainer, as a provider. Like, you saw the press conference. If you haven't seen the press conference, please click on the link above to have a look at it. But wow, I'm absolutely flabbergasted and shocked. Naturally, Dana being... They do want a replacement, and there have been murmurings that Justin Gaethje, who's actually represented in the same camp of representation as Tony Ferguson, has been put up as a possible name. And now note that with Gaethje, he's actually had connections and affiliations with a fight with Conor McGregor. So that's really interesting. And here's the thing, it's so hard to plan in an environment such as COVID, where you don't know what is happening when. So do you stack the card now? Do you stack the deck now? It's ridiculous. Look, Justin Gaethje and Tony Ferguson as a fight in isolation is great, but what does it do? Tony Ferguson and Khabib Nurmagomedov was the fight for the championship, right? Essentially, you're asking Tony to take a fight that's one step down. Are you going to give him an interim belt? You're not. So what is this fight about? I think at the moment what we are seeing is a lot of fights being created for the sake of fights. And I don't mean that in any light way, but there is definitely a revenue component and an event component that is definitely holding a lot of weight and cadence in Dana White's decision making at the moment. And we're not really seeing a sort of linear progression in terms of how fighters are there. And if you're Tony, why do you take that fight? Like, you've been preparing for Khabib as a seasoned wrestler. Not to say that he hasn't been preparing with his striking, but Justin Gaethje is a elite striker, throws with mean intentions, and if it connects, you're basically going to fall asleep. So, there's a lot of upside for Justin, not a lot of upside for Tony. I mean, if you're Tony, you get a paycheck, that's great. You still get a versus Khabib, that's great. Why? If you lose, then you've lost your entry point to the title shot with Khabib. For him, it doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense. Let's list the other potentials here. Dustin Poirier apparently offers to fight Tony Ferguson at 249. Everyone wants it. Do I want to see this fight? Again, in isolation, these are good fights, but now we're actually going to the point of having the card for the sake of it. And don't get me wrong, like, a lot of people have been really itching to see this card and any sort of fight in this COVID environment. So, there's that part to consider, and the part that Dana has basically said that there will be UFC 249. But again, it's such a letdown. It's such a drop. And for Tony, why do you take that? Like, unless UFC is raining in a truckload of cash to you, like, why would you take that? And even for guys like Dustin, I can definitely understand it. It's a roll of the dice, but even with Gaethje, like, April 18th is not that far away. We're talking about a little over 2 weeks, like, to prepare for a Tony Ferguson of the world. Do you really want to stack your card, your decks rather, that way to fight such an elite fighter? Usman, start cutting weight, motherfucker. Kamaru Usman and Jorge Masvidal, again, like, an amazing fight, and one that they were scheduling for International Fight Week. Again, you're bringing such great fights forward. And another thing, this is a grudge match in the sense that these guys don't like each other. They've communicated verbal beef. Like, why would you bring it any earlier? Like, you want a whole camp to really play this out in the media. It's accelerating something that... Part of the joy in a lot of things, like when you book a big overseas trip, is not the actual event. It's the anticipation of the event, the things that come up. Basically, you're accelerating these entertainment timelines much earlier than they need to be. And all for what? All to get an event to happen? How many people are going to watch? Like, where is this event going to happen? Apparently, it's now in the US, which is what caused this whole kerfuffle. Not sure. That being said, Kamaru and Jorge, mate, if they're ready... That's going to be a cracker. That will be a cracker. But again, I want to see this played out. I want to see the press conferences. I want to see, some stage fights, whatever. I want to see it all. This is one that I really like, and it's actually been talked about for a while. Colby Covington and Tyrone Woodley. This is good. I think if you are the UFC and if these guys are willing to do it, there's good enough animosity here. Downgrade it to a fight night card. Why does it have to be pay-per-view? I really think there's a financial consideration that's being factored here that we're not too sure. But yeah, as you see, Colby Covington's ready to make it happen. Tyrone Woodley, he was preparing for his fight with Leon Edwards, also known as Leon Scott. Nah, I ain't going to do that to you, Leon. I apologize. This is a good fight. This is entertaining. Two guys that talk smack. And the thing that this fight had that the Gaethje fight doesn't have, and to an extent what the Usman and Masvidal option has, is it works. In progression, it works. This is almost a number one contender fight for who else versus the winner versus Usman and Jorge Masvidal. So I like it for that case, and I think that the UFC really needs to start being consistent in how it arranges and stacks this fight, because things like Aldo versus Cejudo, mate, come on, mate. Like, you're cheapening the product. At least that's my opinion. Things like giving Romero the shot, you can't let your champion dictate it, even though, Romero has pulling power from a commercial perspective. My opinion, obviously. Great fighter, yo. Yeah, I mean, we'll put it up here, but, Tony thinks that Khabib and the team is ducking him, and, like, there's definitely gotta be a lot of frustration in Tony's end. And I think for both fighters, there's no doubt that they both wanted to fight. It's disappointing. It's really disappointing. A lot of people were looking forward to this fight, and I think that. And here's the thing for me. Again, imagine a scenario where you're anticipating something. Let's put food. Let's just put food. Just imagine if you've been waiting. You've been hearing about this amazing steak from this amazing restaurant, right? And time again, as you book it, something happens, and a work event comes up. I'm running out. Basically, things keep coming up to cancel it, and then eventually, when you get to have it, you've hyped it up so much that it's just not what you thought it would be. Like, that anticipation and that build has been so much that it just doesn't line up. And I'm afraid that with Tony and Khabib, when it happens, I mean, what we saw now was them at the apex. And look, that's not to say that in 6 months' time, Tony says, you know what, no dice, I'm not going to fight any of these chumps. No one that I mentioned here is a chump, by the way, sorry. But, I've got eyes for the tiramisu, eyes for Khabib. And I think he should play it that way, to be quite frank. I think that there's enough fights that Dana can stack there, that Covington versus Woodley is a really good fight. But this fight, Khabib versus Tony, is what the people want to see. Let's hold some of our aces in the deck. We've got Conor McGregor lurking there, right? There's some big fights that can come out at the back of it, and they're on the balance here. You put Tony Ferguson out against a killer like Gaethje, and if he slips up, or if Gaethje has, one of his unpredictable flurries and connects, then you've disturbed the whole balance of equilibrium that you've worked your way up to fight, to arrange. And that's the thing about fighting. You can put the cards and you can put the jigsaw puzzles within the vicinity of each other, but there's very few times, as we've seen now, that they fit. Jeez. Fifth time. Cancelled the fifth time. Anyway, look, that's my little rant about this. What do you guys think? Again, please subscribe to the channel. Give us some love. Share us your feedback in your comments and what you'd like to see in the channel. Look, guys, it's been an interesting couple of weeks, and I lay in strong anticipation to see what Dana White is going to do, if this card is indeed going to be salvaged, and if we indeed have another fight planned. Chat soon, guys. Peace.